As he landed on the shores of Spain, he looked back over the sea, beyond which there was a different world. One he was once destined to rule, but then he wasn't. Running for his life, leaving behind everything he ever knew, Abdurrahman finally had found a home in Al-Andalus, Muslim Spain. The Umayyad Caliphate had conquered Spain in 711 CE. To integrate it into the empire, the Umayyads had moved Syrians there in large numbers. Other than them, Berbers from North Africa, who had actually conquered Spain for the Umayyads, moved there as well. For the next 4 decades, it was very difficult to control all the way from Damascus, but in 750 CE, the Abbasids overthrew the Umayyads. They hunted every single Umayyad prince they could find and slaughtered them. One prince, Abdurrahman ibn Muawiyah, escaped the spearheads of the lances and the blades of the swords and made his way to Africa. Abdurrahman was born around the year 731 CE in northern Syria, probably in Palmyra. He was the son of Muawiyah ibn Hisham and his concubine, who was a Berber from North Africa. His grandfather, Hisham, had previously ruled the Umayyad Empire till his death in 743 CE. Now, a 20-year-old Abdurrahman and his entire family were fugitives. He escaped from Damascus with his sisters, his infant son, his brother Yahya, and a freed man named Badr. His brother Yahya was killed right in front of his eyes by Abbasid soldiers on the bank of the Euphrates. Abdurrahman's maternal family lived in Africa, so that's where he went. He realized that he must head to Spain. With the support of the Berbers, he sent some 500 men to Spain to attract the support of the nobles there. Badr managed to secure the support of the Yemenis in Spain. Since the Yemenis had control over southern Spain, in 755 CE, Abdurrahman was able to land on the Iberian Peninsula after 5 years on the run. As I previously mentioned, the Umayyads had moved a large number of Syrians to Spain in an attempt to consolidate their control over the region. These Syrians were in love with the Umayyads, as were the Syrians in Syria. So they quickly aligned with Abdurrahman. With the Syrians and Yemenis backing him up, he raised an army of 2,000 men and marched on Cordoba. It was under the rule of Qaisi leader Al-Sumayr. Abdurrahman seized Cordoba. This wasn't the end of his conquest, but rather just the beginning. On May the 14th, 756 CE, Abdurrahman was proclaimed the Emir of Cordoba. Abdurrahman quickly started consolidating power to ensure that his realm and his dynasty would survive in this foreign land, where he had to take control from other Muslims and Christians, as well as fending off attacks from the Abbasids. After the first year, he no longer had the names of Abbasid caliphs acknowledged in the Friday prayers in Cordoba, and while he retained the fairly modest title of Amir, he acknowledged no temporal superior like the caliph. He was an independent ruler. Abdurrahman declared his realm to be a safe haven for the Umayyads and their supporters. The surviving members of the family came to Al-Andalus to help Abdurrahman. One of them was Abdul Malik ibn Umar ibn Marwan, his cousin, who was given the governorship of Seville. Most of Andalusia, by this point, had been a patchwork of local lords exercising great amount of control over small areas. This is best shown by the fact that most of the Umayyad governors before had been killed after short reigns. After the collapse of the Umayyads by the Abbasids, one family had appeared more powerful than the rest. This family was called Al-Fihri. It was them whom Abdurrahman had to defeat before to take Cordoba. Now they were gathering forces once more. Various members of the family became a problem for the Emir, but one by one they were all put down. Even by the end of Abdurrahman's life, there were still members of Al-Fihri lurking around, gathering support and fighting with the Emir. In 763 CE, the Abbasid Caliph Al-Mansur sent his banner and an investiture to Al-Ala ibn al-Mughith al-Yahsubi, installing him as the governor of Al-Andalus by the order of the Caliph. Al-Ala had been a powerful ruler of Beja in southern Portugal and exercised a decent amount of control and support in western Iberia. As he prepared to attack Abdurrahman left Cordoba and moved to the fortress at Carmona, high on the hills. Al-Ala surrounded him and laid siege to the castle, hoping to exhaust Abdurrahman's supplies. Al-Ala's siege was working. Abdurrahman and his men were outnumbered, outgunned, cornered, and desperate. In their desperation, they had no choice but to fight their way out. Abdurrahman lit a fire and ordered his 700 men to throw their scabbards in the fire. He said to his men, "Come out with me against this crowd, determined never to return." Abdurrahman and his men opened the gates and attacked the unsuspecting army in the middle of the night. Panic broke out and Al-Ala lost his army and his life. Abdurrahman and his men came out victorious. The head of Al-Ala was embalmed and preserved in salts and sent to Al-Mansur, who upon seeing it said, "Allah be praised for putting a sea between me and Abdurrahman." This was the first and last of the Abbasid attempts to take back Al-Andalus. The north and west of the peninsula resisted the Emir for most of his reign. Zaragoza, for example, had been a pain to take even for the previous governors of Al-Andalus. They resisted Abdurrahman well. Salman ibn Yaqzan al-Arabi, the emir of Barcelona, was proving to be a major power in the region. He even sent diplomatic missions to Charlemagne, the king of the Franks and later Holy Roman Emperor, asking for his help. Charlemagne agreed in turn for Suleiman to swear loyalty to him. Charlemagne even arrived in Ebro Valley in 778 CE, but Suleiman withdrew, so the emperor had to return. Afterwards, Suleiman was executed by one of his allies, Al-Hussein ibn Yahya, who first signed a treaty of allegiance with Abdurrahman in 781 CE, but later withdrew from it, which forced Abdurrahman to take the region all the way up to the Pyrenees by force. Emir Abdurrahman of Cordoba died on 7th of October 788 CE. He was born a prince that made a fugitive, running for his life, and then an emir. Independent, away from the reach of the Abbasid Caliphate, he secured his rule from Gibraltar to the Pyrenees. See you next time. Thank you for watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified when I upload a video. Special thanks to my generous patrons on Patreon who make these videos possible. Their names you can see on the screen right now. If you want to support the channel, head over to Patreon and pledge $1 or more. You also get some really cool perks, according to me. At the time of Abdurrahman's death, his succession plan wasn't clear. It was obvious that he wanted one of his sons to succeed, but which one? Abdurrahman had 3 potential successors, Suleiman, Hisham, and Abdullah. Abdullah was young and wasn't a serious enough candidate. The other 2, Suleiman and Hisham, were both away from Cordoba when Abdurrahman died.